Hey, this is Gary from Night Dreams Talk Radio. I want to welcome a new sponsor to our show, PhoenixShaving.com. I know what you're thinking, right? Oh, another disposable razor company. Well, the fact is they're not. You remember the razors that your father and his father shaved with? Did you ever notice they didn't have, well, the embarrassing razor burn or ingrowing hairs or the razor bumps after they shaved? Did you notice they were also relaxed after they were done shaving? Well, the problem is these big corporations want to sell you razor after razor after razor. Think about how much money you spend a year on razors. Or do you use electric razor? Then you're going to find out what razor burn is. So you need to check out Phoenix Shaving Starter Kits. They come complete with the soap, the brush, and a 2.5-month supply of blades, and the most important part of it, a all-metal razor, built to last generations. So, hey, you can donate it to one of your sons when they turn 18. Check out PhoenixShaving.com and tell them that Gary from Night Dream said, hey, I want one. That's PhoenixShaving.com now.
Check out Night Dream's website at www.nightdreamstalkradio.com.
You're listening to Night Dreams Radio with Gary Anderson.
Hey, that is me. We got Trapper Jack on the show here tonight. Like me, he's a longtime broadcaster, and we're going to be talking about a lot of things, including heaven. Hey, are you there, Trapper?
I am, Gary, and it's a treat to be on your show. I got to tell you that since I received the invite from you a few weeks back, I've listened to a lot of your shows, and you are one interesting dude. You are an interesting dude. I mean, I'm hearing things that you got pieces of metal in you that you don't know what it is that sets off alarms. You've got a radio career that began on your very first show with the Mormons coming in and trying to teach you religion.
Oh boy, you've been listening.
Let's see what else you have. You should not say that you have a wife that can stop a clock, though. You should not say that. You said that. You said that, or a watch, or something like that.
She does. I swear to God. And I shouldn't have said that. But you know what? When we got married, the first thing she said, is that her mom had the same problem. That in fact, after we got married, I think about a week later, I bought her a real nice watch, and she says, "Why did you buy me a watch? Take it back. My mom can't wear one. I can't wear one." And that's when I found out she said that any watch she puts on will quit working. I didn't believe her. Guess what? It happened every single time. I don't care if it's a digital watch or the wind-up watch. You give her a wind-up watch, she might get 3 days out of it.
That's crazy. Is she emitting some kind of a frequency that's unusual? Obviously, she attracted you, so she must have been emitting something that you picked up on, Well,
what I picked on at the time, she was working at Albertson's grocery store in the bakery, and I had this real bad thing for maple bars. And she found that out.
Do it.
She found that out real fast that I was into maple bars, and we just hit it from there. I mean, she made them extra special for me with extra maple on it. Hey, you did that for about a month or two, and I was in love.
Well, there you go. And it's all because of maple bars. I used to eat a lot of those things too. Well, anyway, it's great to be here, and I just think you have a fun show. You have a very interesting, fun show.
Well, I was telling you on the phone, I kind of run it as a hobby type of situation. I mean, I was in commercial broadcasting off and on, and on some of the top stations. I got burned out after a while. As this like me, I always found being working for a radio station, you never knew how long you were going to have a job. I mean, somebody would always be sending audition tapes in, somebody would be coming in to see the program director or the station manager, and you start wondering, I wonder if it's me. That happened a lot in radio. At least it did for me. I don't know if it did for you.
I was very fortunate. actually, when I was working not too far from you, I was in Seattle for 6 years, and I was at KJR during the Charlie Brown, Gary Lockwood time.
Oh, yeah.
And the station sold, and so in order to, or was about, they were going to sell it, so they were cutting costs and everything, and my shift, which they had created especially for me, went away. And so, but I had a contract, so they kind of had to rehire me as a news guy for a little while there. But when I think about it, through my career, really only the last radio station after 25 years in morning radio in Cleveland, Ohio, they didn't pick up my contract, which was, the inner voice in me said, hallelujah. Because by then, as you know, the culture of radio has changed so much. I was the, what do you want to call it? When I got it, my big, if you want to call it, the guy that really spurred me was Johnny Carson. I loved his style.
Oh, yeah.
I loved Johnny Carson. I watched him every night as a kid. I was watching him. And when I wasn't watching him, I had a little radio that I could pick up television signals. And I'd go to bed with Johnny with the radio on under the pillow. I just loved Johnny, wanted to be Johnny. And whether that was radio or TV, I didn't care, but I just wanted to go be Johnny. And so when I went into radio, as Johnny did, he kind of took that middle-of-the-road course. He wasn't shocking anybody. I didn't want to shock anybody. I wanted to use double entendre, which was, you weren't saying anything dirty. It just sounded like maybe you were. That's about as far as I would take it. And so, but anyway, by the end of 2012, when they said we're not renewing the contract, there was that inner voice in me going, yeah, thank you, because and then everybody wanted to be Howard Stern. If you flip around the dial in the morning now, everyone's trying to out Howard, and that's not where I was at.
That's what I hated about radio. It was so competitive. Even what I did. I mean, I did Top 40 off and on. I did talk shows off and on. And, I enjoyed talk shows more than doing Top 40 because, I remember the day my grandmother passed on, and I had to do a radio show. And that time, I think it was a KTAC in Tacoma, which then turned into Cube. I don't even know what it is anymore. But I had to do a show, and it was really hard to, be psyched up and do a Top 40 show when somebody you really loved just passed on. And I tried to get it off, and they said, no, you're the night guy. You're there.
Yeah, and which is one of the reasons why, I don't know, for the last 5 years, I've been doing podcasting, and for the same reason you like talk radio, is that it's your passion. You get to go to your passion. So the last 5 years, I've kind of gone to the God paranormal, if you will. If the paranormal has to do with science having a hard time figuring out why certain things are happening, they're really having a difficult time with God stuff. With, when someone prays, suddenly a tumor goes away. It's like, how do you explain that? Or how do you explain a near-death experience when, somebody runs into Jesus on the other side? It's just crazy stuff. I mean, just really crazy stuff. And so for the last 5 years, I've been able to delve into that and literally talk to hundreds and hundreds of people who have had these amazing experiences. Now I'm doing this, it's called Touched by Heaven podcast. And we're getting into angels and near-death experiences and divine intervention. And it's fascinating. It's fascinating. And just like, and this goes with miraculous healings too, just like when someone says, I saw a UFO, as you have, and people go, yeah. You get that same, yeah. Even though when we read something in the Bible from 2,000 years ago, we go, oh, yeah, okay, it happened then. It's like we question now, what's going on in the world now, and I think it's more active now than it ever has been with what I call God's flare gun. You keep shooting off that gun trying to get our attention.
Well, also, I hate to say it, Art Bell, when Lear came up to him when he was doing his normal talk show, and said, hey, you should go into the paranormal. And, with Art Bell going into the paranormal, people don't realize if it wasn't for Art Bell, I don't think the paranormal would be open as much or anywhere near as what it is today. I mean, he opened up where people got to the point where they're not scared to say, well, I had a near-death experience. Or, there's an angel watching over me. Or I saw a UFO.
Mm-hmm. No, I think you're right. In the 90s, I'd get up at 2:30 in the morning, do the morning show, and we'd be on the road at 3:30. Me and my news guy Jim, and we loved Art Bell. I mean, he had the voice, he had the topics, he had the guests, and you just sat there going, it was just this incredible merging of the perfect talent, the perfect topics. And do you know how did he get that show? Because I remember, if you remember, I'm sure you do, the All Nights used to belong to Larry King. You know, the old Mutual Radio Network. You listened to Larry King overnight. And then when he took the CNN thing, he was doing both for a while, and then the radio thing went away. But was he? How did he get that gig? How did he get the all night thing? Why did a major network, get all these stations together? How did they pull that off? Do you know?
Well, originally he wasn't really on a major network. The network, if I remember right, because he went through so many, like Premiere and all these other ones. I know one was out of Oregon, one of the networks that, ran them in syndication, one of the first ones. It's the paranormal just, that's what Art told me one time. The paranormal just took off way more crazy than he even imagined it would. I mean, it started.
I'll tell you.
It got the truckers out there listening to him. It got people on trips listening to him. A lot of people, they couldn't sleep at night, started tuning into Art. Let's face it. There used to be a money man. I can't remember his name. It always talked about financial things. And God, He was very popular for many years.
Givens? Was it Givens?
No, I can't remember. He was an older guy at the time. I can't remember. Old age. But it came down to, people really started grooving into the paranormal. And it just started growing really fast.
And it spans all age groups. Doesn't it? That's what I find interesting. Yeah. It doesn't matter. I know I was on. Are you familiar with Jim Harold's Paranormal podcast?
No.
Jim?
No.
Okay. He's a local guy. He's a friend of mine, and he and I worked in radio together. He was in sales, and this was like you. This has been his passion forever. So I went on his program, and I was dazzled at the intersection. If you want to call it faith, these God incidences, whatever, however you want to phrase them, and the paranormal. The interest is there. For the paranormal fans are just as interested. If it's interesting, it's interesting. And the age group, it's all over the place.
Oh yeah, we're talking from teenagers all the way up to people in their last days are listening to the paranormal and talking about it. I mean, I've experienced a lot of things. Like I remember just a little story about me. And I know this is supposed to be about you, but we're just talking right now.
No, it's about you. Here's the trouble when two radio guys talk to each other.
It's about each other.
We like to ask questions. Yeah, we like to ask questions though. I've done that for a bazillion years. It's fun to find out about other people.
Well, my father had dementia. He also had Alzheimer's, and the last year of his life, he was nothing more than a vegetable. I mean, and all of a sudden I get a phone call. This is years ago. Probably around late 90s. I get a phone call from the doctor saying, your dad is totally coherent. Come to the nursing home. And, I was shocked because they told me he was virtually, at that point, almost brain dead. I mean, he wasn't talking to anybody. He didn't recognize anybody, nothing. I walked into the room they had him in, and he recognized me. He asked me how my work was going. We had a long conversation. I mean, he was sharp as could be. And then out of the blue, he started talking about, I was just talking to your mom, and she's waiting for me.